Hi and welcome to another episode of Delaware County Political News. Today we are here with Diane Leehan, Chair of the Ridley Democratic Committee, and she is also running for Township Commissioner in the 4th Ward. She is a former William Penn School District member and past president, and former Democratic State Committee member. Diane is a retired medical malpractice claims supervisor for the MCare Fund and a lifelong resident of Delaware County. Diane, thank you for joining us here today on Delaware County Political News.
Thank you for having me, Larry.
Diane, how is Ridley Township unique?
For me, it is very unique in that it's very different than what I'm used to. I originally came from Clifton Heights and lived in Darby for a period of time. And then I come to Ridley, and it's huge. I mean, I live in the Seacane section of Ridley, which is, close to Upper Darby, and then you go down to the Swarthmore section of Ridley. It is very, very diverse. It is multiple small little communities in it that makes it very, very different than what I'm used to anyway.
Like a mini Philadelphia in a way.
Yeah. And actually, it's quite the microcosm of the broader society in that it covers almost everything, from lower middle class, upper middle class to relatively well off. So it's a very, very diverse community. And it's huge. Did I say huge?
You did.
Huge.
And Diane, you were born and raised in Clifton Heights and spent some time in Darby. Compare and contrast the two neighborhoods or places.
Clifton and Darby are very small, singular neighborhoods. And when I say that, I mean it's just Clifton Heights, it's just Darby. Whereas if you come out to Ridley, it's Swarthmore and Holmes and so on. So in those communities, it was easier to pinpoint the issues and develop relationships, and everyone knew everyone. So I mean, it was a lot easier to work. And then you come out to Ridley, and it's huge. I mean, I'm going to say that several times because it goes from South Avenue and McDade Boulevard all the way out to the Blue Route entrance on McDade Boulevard, and in between Chester Pike and out. So it's very, very large. In other words, Darby was 0.11 square miles, I think, was their full area, and they had 11,000 houses. Ridley is several square miles, and it's got a population of over 30,000.
And even still, Ridley has a personality to its own, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Because of the diversity, it does, yes. Because you have to adjust your message. We have 9 wards, and you have to adjust your message. Each candidate that would run in a ward has to adjust his message to the ward that he's in, because it could be very diverse. In other words, if you're from Swarthmore, living in the Ridley section of Swarthmore, and I'm in the Seacane section of Swarthmore, they're different neighborhoods. They're very different. And I think our Delaware County residents understand, the difference between a Swarthmore and a Seacane. So it can be very, very interesting.
You are a retired claims supervisor for the MCare Fund. What unique perspective does your past employment give you?
Well, when you are a medical malpractice claims supervisor, you're dealing in medicine and how a doctor or a hospital can affect an individual patient if they get it wrong, if they don't, if they get it right. There's all kinds of things that can happen in a med mal case. So when I turn around and I look at politics, specifically the healthcare issue in this country, it gives me an extremely unique position in that I get what happens if you don't have not just medical insurance, but insurance in general, how that can devastate a family. It can ruin it. It only takes one bad incident. And to have our leaders in Washington have the best healthcare in the world. I mean, hands down, we pay for them to have the absolute best healthcare. Don't let anyone else can convince you of anything different than that. They do, and we pay for it. And for them not to be willing to give residents the bare minimum to cover them in healthcare, to me, it's obscene. And that was one of the driving passions I had when I worked for the MCare Fund. It was the annoyance as to how health insurance could be so devastating to not have.
The hypocrisy is disturbing.
Yes, it is. Oh my God, yes. Good word, thank you.
You are running for Township Commissioner, 4th Ward. What issues are involved in your race?
For me, this race is about openness, about diversity, about different opinion, about bringing, the other side of any coin to the table. One of the things I believe, and I believe it very strongly, is that differences of opinion are what make the world go round. And if nobody disagrees with you, how do you know what the best policy is? How do you formulate it if no one ever brings to you the opposite side of the argument? And we don't get that in Ridley. I mean, I've been to their meetings. You don't get diverse opinion. You get whatever somebody says, and that's it. And I find it very frustrating. So I think my main goal here is to open up the Ridley Township government to all aspects of people that live in Ridley. Give everyone a voice, not just a select few.
Mark Dos Santos gave a really powerful analogy to majority saying everyone loves chocolate cake, even though maybe only 55% of people like chocolate cake. So we're always going to serve chocolate cake. And then 44% of the people, 45%, may like vanilla cake, but they never get the vanilla cake because of the majority. And that would be a perfect example of what you have when Ridley commissioners issue a policy that they're leaving out a certain serving for a minority of the people.
Oh, absolutely.
Diane, you went to a township meeting. What did you observe when you went?
The most amazing things. There was no discussion. They read a motion. It's not even written out on the agenda. So if you're in the audience, you have to try to figure out what's going on by listening to them. And then there's no discussion on that motion. The motion's made, it's passed, and off it goes. How do you do that? How do you not have open discussion amongst the members of the committee? I mean, are you telling me that everybody sees everything the same way? I find that hard to believe. And I think that's what Ridley Township needs. It needs a good kick in the ass and say, open it up, talk about it. Write the motion out on the freaking agenda. What is wrong with that? I don't get this.
Was there any opportunity for community member input?
Not at the meeting I was at, no.
Is any of the agenda or motions or news listed on the website?
As a matter of fact, when I asked them at the meeting, where do I get copies of the motions, the actual copies of the motions that they were clearly reading from, that were not on the agenda that was given out to the public, I was told, oh, that'll be on the website. When I went to the website, I couldn't find it. It's not even what shocked me was when you do the minutes, at least when we did the minutes and when I was on the William Penn School District Board, any motion was written out in the minutes, was added the full motion was added into the minutes. Not in their minutes.
Now, I understand that this is speculation, but why do you think it's done that way?
I just think they follow the leader, and I hate to say this, but I think that there is I don't know who it is, but somebody is in charge, and they're told what to do and what to vote on. I saw no discussion whatsoever, which I find hard to believe. Like I said, I was this William Penn School District board member for 12 years. And even on the day we voted, you have work sessions and then you have a voting session. And even on the day we vote, we still had discussion about the motions that were on the agenda. None. Nada. I could not believe that. I was flabbergasted.
Why did you decide to run for Township Commissioner?
Because I believe somebody needs to speak truth to power. Somebody needs to stand up and say, hey, here's the other side of the coin. Hey, not everything is this easy. You need to have various opinions combating against each other, and from that comes the best option. I truly, truly believe that. I think that the diversity of opinion is an important thing to have in any government, because then you get the best out of it. If you're all arguing and discussing and batting around your ideas, eventually the best idea comes, usually a little bit from each person in the room. If you don't have that, how do you know you're getting the best deal?
And right now, there is no dissenting voices
No,
on?
none. And I truly believe that no government should function without dissenting voices. What do we, I mean, let's be realistic. What does Russia have? They have
Same thing.
dictatorship, which means nobody speaks against the leader, and that's just not appropriate. That's just not how this country is built.
Why should voters vote for you?
Because I'm not afraid to speak truth to power. I'm not afraid to stand up and say, hey, this isn't the best idea, or hey, maybe there are other ideas, or hey, don't forget the little guy that's sitting out there, the minority person out there who hasn't had a voice in his government in a long time in Ridley, and for that matter in Delaware County and other areas. But the truth be told is that we need to stand up, speak to our leaders, tell them what our opinions are. They need to listen to both sides. It can't be just one person.
Who would be a good person to do that?
I am. I'm not afraid to say it. I'm. Some people might say I'm cocky, but I have no qualms. And you can ask anybody in my family. I have no qualms telling you when I think you're wrong. I may not be right, but I know when you're wrong. So I think it's a really important thing to have diversity, and that's what I want to see in Ridley. It has a very diverse community. It should be represented. All of it should be represented.
Are you and your running mate, Mark Dos Santos, running as a ticket?
Yes, we are. Yes, we have. I think one of the nice things is that Mark and I bring two different perspectives to a race, which really delves into the diversity aspect. Mark is young and energetic. I'm older and have been doing this for a long time. I bring a different opinion. I'm a white female. Mark is a minority. I think yes, we are a ticket, and yes, it's a really good ticket in that it brings different opinions and different perspectives to the Township Commissioner's office.
Switching away from the campaign, describe the Ridley Democratic Committee.
It is. Ridley Democratic Committee has had a long and tangled history. We've had several chairmen over the year who have been good, but for whatever reason have had to retire. Health, it gets hard. So when I came on board 2 years ago, they hadn't had a chairman in several years. So the committee had basically started to fall apart. So I had 12 names to start with when I started as chairman, of people that were interested and still interested in being somehow involved in the party. We had to build from that. In the last year, we've added 8 new committee people. We've developed a technology committee, which has given us a footprint in every aspect of social media. We have a website, we have a Facebook page, we have a Twitter account, we have an email address, and it's really opened us up. I was skeptical, I had, being older and having done this a different way, I was skeptical about some of these social media ways to get in touch with people, but I am shocked at the number of people that have commented or come to our page and read it regularly. So I'm real pleased with the way we're headed. We have a long way to go. We still need young people. I would love to see more young people get involved, but the course of the current administration in Washington has really lit a fire under people that is something I have not seen in, gosh, I couldn't tell you how long. And it's opened it up, and we have people that are interested. The problem now is, I think, in terms of building a committee, is that there are differences of how the Democratic Party should work from here on out. But again, that's how you build. You take a little bit of information from everybody. So I think we're in a very forward movement, and I'm real happy with it.
You're a lifelong resident of Delaware County.
Yes.
Have you noticed political change within Delco?
Yes. Specifically, and this is going to sound rather cliche, but specifically since the November elections, and even like a little before that, the whole campaign period for Hillary Clinton and 44, 45. More people are speaking up. More people are coming out of, quote, the woodwork, as they say. And I think we see a real interest and a real push. One of the things that I that blows my mind, and it still does, is that we just for the first time had more primary voters than the Republicans did in a primary, and that's like huge.
Say that again.
We had more primary voters of the last primary than the Republicans, and that's never happened before.
In Ridley or Delaware County?
In Ridley and Delaware County.
In Ridley, you had more
Yes, I believe so.
Democratic
Now,
voters
wait a minute, maybe I should not say that.
in Delaware County.
Okay, yeah, say in Delaware County.
Then listen,
Because I didn't check my numbers, I just checked the county numbers.
and the county numbers. So let's make that point. So let's make this point again. More Democratic voters in Delaware County in the primary than Republican voters.
Now,
Has that ever happened before?
Not in all of my years, and I've been at this since I was 16, and I'm 58 now.
All right. So
So-
what message do you have for the Ridley Township Democrats now for that?
Don't be afraid. You're not alone. I know the stories from the past. I've heard them. I know people that it has happened to. Don't be afraid. Come out. Stand up for what you believe in. Speak truth to power. Don't be afraid of that. No, why would you be afraid? If we're no longer the minority, don't be afraid. But I've been at this since I was 16. Buy into it anymore.
Okay, so let's be clear what we're talking about here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of threats going on that are empty threats
Yes.
that are meant for intimidation, kind of the Donald Trump bully bravado type of thing, that are meant for people to cause people to back down. But when push comes to shove, stand up for democracy.
Absolutely.
That's your message?
Absolutely.
Our message.
Absolutely. I mean, there's just, look, we have a edge in registration. We've now had more voters come out in a primary than Republicans. We're moving. I am, for the first time, and I know we've had good campaigns in the past, this is a really good campaign that we have going on here. And there's more excitement. And I can't remember the last time we were doing things in the summer with our candidates. Usually it's always been, we don't have much of a shot, so let's take the summer off. That's not happening this time. I see these candidates, all of them out there working, Mark, starting with, with your local candidates, all the way up to your county candidates and some of your statewide candidates. And to me, that's a sure sign that things are changing.
Diane, that's all we have time for today. But I want to thank you for being a guest
you.
on my show.
Thank you, and thank you for inviting me. I had a really nice time. I enjoyed it. I could do this all day.
I could too. We have been here with Diane Leehan. She's the chair of the Ridley Democratic Committee, and she's also candidate for Ridley Township Commissioner, 4th Ward, and I am your host, Larry DeMarco. If you like this video, do not forget to send it to all your contact lists and Facebook friends. Like, follow, and share Delaware County political news. That's all we have time for today. Bye for now. Tune in next time.